When Kiyu handed me the breakup fee for the 19th time, I agreed. The girl in his heart was asking for a legitimate status and couldn't wait any longer. I couldn't wait any longer either. I was pregnant, and the child was not his. After signing the agreement, I took a photo and sent it to Kiyu as soon as possible. It's signed. You asked Zhengzhu to come and get it. 20 minutes passed quietly, and Kiyu's dialogue box was as quiet as death. I was thinking about whether to call a local courier, but I saw Kiyu standing at the door with a slight breath. He actually came in person. Yes, his little lover has been making a fuss about asking for a legitimate status for half a year, and it seems that he is really anxious. Tell me, what tricks are you trying to play? I will give you everything I deserve. His voice was very cold with a hint of impatience. Hugh gave me a wedding 3 years ago, and since then I have become his nominal wife, Key. I accompanied him from poverty to success, but in the past 6 months he has been thinking about how to dump me just to make room for that little canary. He has revised the property division agreement to the 19th version. I was not satisfied with it before, but this time I signed it obediently, but he became suspicious. I chuckled and handed the agreement to him. He opened it suspiciously, and when he saw that I really signed it, his face darkened. Shen Qiu, do you really agree? I looked at him strangely. He always said that what he hated most was my ignorance and jealousy. Now I didn't make a fuss, fulfilled his wish, took the money and left. Why did he seem even more unhappy? He didn't want to see me cry and keep him, did he? I smiled. Isn't this good? You can marry by ruin openly, and I can replan my life. In this agreement, there's everything from houses, cars, and company shares. He has invested a lot of money. I accept everything. After all, I have been with him for all these years, and I am the unknown person. Who's really willing to plant trees for the predecessors and let the future generations enjoy the shade? Now, with the net worth I have earned over the years, plus what he wants to share with me, even if I travel around the world starting tomorrow, it will be enough for me to live a wealthy life for the rest of my life. Although love is God, fortunately, I still have a lot of money. You listened to what I said, but her eyes were complicated and she was hesitant to speak. At this time, a soft and delicate female voice interrupted us. Sister Qiu, thank you for being willing to help us. The AI ruin, the canary that Qiu cherished in her heart. It is a golden phoenix that flew out of the mountain. With an ordinary second-tier degree, it is not easy for him to enter the highly competitive Qi group. He only took 3 short months to become Kayu's secretary in the president's office. It really worked hard to seduce Kiyu. Kiyu said that she was innocent and kind, and was always afraid that I would bully her. But what kind of innocent and kind person would go to bed with a married man and send the bed photos to his original wife? I used to be so depressed that I cried and made a scene. I even exposed them, unposted them online in a rage, but there was no trace left the next day. Hiyu's methods were always quick and decisive. The funny thing is that one day he would use these methods on me. I'm tired of it. I looked at the two of them with a smile and didn't want to say another word. You got the agreement. Why don't you leave? This villa is under my name. After Key started to look for lovers frequently, he rarely came back here. If they stayed for another second, I would want to disinfect the whole house. Keyu's face sunk. You playing hard to get won't work on me. Since you dare to sign, don't regret it. After that, he pulled by ruin out. Wait, I called Kiyu. He looked back at me with an expression of, as expected, probably thinking that I was reluctant to part with him again, but I just reminded him. Don't forget to transfer the money early, and transfer the real estate to me as soon as possible. After a second of silence, he gritted his teeth and said, You are anxious. How can I not be anxious? I am pregnant, not his, and it will be bad if I don't part ways with him. I made an appointment for a prenatal checkup, but I didn't expect to run into Kiyuan by ruin in the hospital. He held her hand carefully. By ruin chattered. He listened patiently. His eyes were gentle and doting, and they were so close that it seemed no third person could get in. Memories surged. A long time ago, he also treated me as a treasure. It's been too long. The last time he looked at me with such eyes was when I had a miscarriage. At that time, I was for months pregnant, and he had his first lover outside. She was a fearless girl. She came to me in a hurry and asked me to make room for her. I scolded her for being shameless, but she said, "The one who is not loved is the mistress." Perhaps her self-esteem was greatly hurt. She pushed me hard and the child was gone. I was sent to the operating room covered in blood. When I woke up, the first thing I saw was Kiyu with a face full of self-blame. His eyes were full of guilt. He held my hand tightly, unchoked with tears. "I'm sorry. Qiu. I'm a bastard. Hit me. I'm sorry." I slapped him hard and he didn't even try to dodge, but just endured it. When I was tired of beating him, he said bitterly, "Just this time, Qiu, give me a chance to make up for it, okay? We will have children again." He sent the girl away and became a considerate lover again, but it was a pity that it was only for a short 6 months. 6 months later, he had a new girl by his side. Later, those girls changed one after another, young and tender faces, and I didn't even remember them before they changed again. Ruin was the one who stayed with him the longest. It was really embarrassing to meet them in the obstetrics and gynecology department this time. I turned around and wanted to leave, but was stopped by Ruin's voice. "Sister Qiu, what a coincidence." She hung on Qiu like a big pendant, her face flushed, looking a little shy. "I'm pregnant. I came to see the doctor." I watched her performance expression, Leslie. Qiu saw the registration form in my hand and frowned. "What's wrong with you?" I smiled coldly. "Mister He, in front of your new lover, it's best not to be too curious about your ex-wife's privacy." He seemed a little irritated and even pushed by Ruin aside and held my wrist. "Shenhua, I am your man. You suddenly appeared in the obstetrics and gynecology department. I have the right to ask." I looked at him steadily, and my tone couldn't help but carry a bit of mockery, "My man." Are you sure? Although we had a wedding, I have always been unmarried in the marriage registration system. You was stunned for a moment, as if he suddenly remembered something, and his eyes became more gloomy. Yes, the wedding was so romantic and grand. In the eyes of outsiders, I was his only wife, Key. Especially in recent years, the equity distribution of our business has been complicated, but who knows? In fact, we have never been to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Whenever I urged Kiyu to get the marriage certificate with me, he was either going to a meeting or going on a business trip abroad. His time is always so precious that he couldn't spare half an hour to accompany me to get a marriage certificate for 3 years. But when we broke up, we tore our faces over the issue of money and power distribution, and everyone knew about it. My wrist was hurt by his grip, but he refused to let go. Fortunately, not long after, the call station called my name. "Please ask the patient Shenpyu. I you to go to the No. 5 clinic." He reluctantly let go of my hand. I immediately walked past him and by Ruin into the clinic and locked the door by the way without paying any attention to Kiyu's extremely dark face. After the doctor carefully read my medical report, he gave me a few instructions and told me to bring the father of the child with me next time. "He's dead." This was like a thunderclap. The doctor, who was originally concentrating on the medical records, quickly raised his head, and his eyes were full of sympathy. He changed his tone to comfort me and asked me to mourn. I also cooperated with a sad expression. "It may be because of the early pregnancy I am a little sleepy. After returning from the hospital, I have been sleeping, and I had many dreams in a daze. At first, I had just graduated from college, and it happened that Kiyu's family went bankrupt and he was living on the streets. He squeezed into a small rental house. He hugged me in a down jacket and leaned against his heart. "QIU, when I have money, I will never let you suffer anymore. I have to hire at least 5 people, one to cook for you, one to wash your clothes, and one to fold your quilt." His vigorous heartbeat was in my ears, and I blushed at his love words and naively believed in his words. Love can overcome all difficulties. Later, he really made a comeback and became successful, but there were more people around him. Those people came and went, just like he used elusive love. At the end of the dream, there was a mess on the ground, and I was crying with my feet bleeding on the broken porcelain. He looked at me going crazy inferently and said inferently, "You are really ugly like this." At that moment, I looked at the person he had loved deeply in his youth, and it seemed that she had suddenly rotted. When I woke up, it was already dark. I was about to get up in a daze, but a sudden voice scared me. I heard that you are pregnant with my child, and you spread rumors everywhere that I am dead. I was startled and looked in the direction of the voice, only to see a man looking at me in front of the French window. The moonlight sprinkled down, coating his originally dark suit with a layer of silver gray. There was no light in the room, and he was hiding in the dark. If he didn't speak, it would be really difficult to find him. He Yanju, who are you trying to scare to death? You're going too far. He Yanju laughed at my words. He walked to the bed and pulled me into his arms. His warm body temperature came through the thin pajamas. His palm gently stroked my lower back, and his tone was helpless when he spoke. Who is going to far Shen Qiu? First you ran away after sleeping with me, and now you want to take my child with you. He Yanju guessed very accurately. My plan was to find a small town to settle down with my child, far away from Kiyu and Hienj. After all, my beginning with him was not glorious. It was 3 months ago, on my birthday. Before Kiyu took the initiative to say that we should break up, he spent the last birthday with me for good luck and to part ways in peace. He had booked a window seat in the restaurant early, and he could see the night view at a glance. He came to pick me up at home as if nothing had changed between us. He held the cake for me and lit the candles himself, make a whiff. At his urging, I closed my eyes with mixed feelings and silently said in my heart my wish is. It was only about 10 seconds. When I opened my eyes again, I looked at the empty opposite side. At a loss, Yu was gone. I waited for a long time, but I didn't see him come back. Finally, the waiter came to inform me that Mr. He had just received a phone call and left. He said that you can leave directly after the meal, and he will pay for all the consumption today. I watched the candles on the cake burn out, the cream collapse little by little, and the words "Happy Birthday" turned into ugly red patches. Finally, I laughed sarcastically. After leaving the restaurant, I took a taxi to the port. When I was poor before, I didn't have money to travel to other places, so Kiyu always liked to take me to the port. He always said that it would be nice to be able to blow the sea breeze without seeing new scenery. Later, the sea was still the same sea, but people had changed a long time ago. I walked aimlessly for a long time until someone around me suddenly exclaimed, "Oh my God, this is too romantic." I followed their line of sight and looked at the night sky over the sea. The dark sky, countless drone lights flashing, showing the romantic cursive words. By Ruan Ruan, I love you. A few seconds later, countless flowers bloomed in the night sky, gorgeous and beautiful. Pedestrian sighed, "Oh my God, which prince is showing his love again?" Hey, today is another day for NPCs to make up the numbers in the world. I opened my circle of friends almost like self-torture, and sure enough, I saw Byru on Ruin's boastful copy. True love is that no matter what time, as long as I say I miss him, he can give me a confession. The accompanying picture is the photo of the drone confession. When a person's heart is dead to the extreme, he will probably become no different from a madman. I bought a lot of wine to drink. There were too many people on the beach. Hugh and Ruan were together, surrounded by passersby who didn't know about it, and they didn't notice me at all. But I looked at them for a long time until I found that I was surrounded by empty bottles and my vision began to appear. I realized that it would be bad if I continued drinking, so I stood up and staggered away. After finally leaving the noisy port, I walked along the road, but bumped into someone head on. "Be careful." He held my hand to steady me, and when he stood up, he saw the person clearly, He Yanju, a big boss in the Shanghai circle and the heir of the He group. Over the years, I have had some dealings with him because of business investment. It can be said that the three of my net worth was earned almost entirely by relying on this big tree. He is completely opposite to Kiyu. There is almost no opposite sex around him. People in the circle joked about whether he is gay, and he never refuted. "Shenpu Iuyu," he supported me and frowned. "Why did you drink so much?" He smelled good and clean, unlike Kiyu, who always had a soft white perfume smell on her body. "He Yenshu, they all say that you like men, is it true?" Inexplicably, I asked. My tongue was a little numb, probably because of the alcohol. He Yanju was stunned at first, then sighed helplessly, and carefully helped me onto his Rolls Royce. Perhaps the alcohol paralyzed my reason, or perhaps I just wanted to take revenge on Kiyu in disguise. I quietly approached He Yanju and took the initiative to kiss him on the cheek. He turned his head and looked at me in surprise. At that moment, his pupils trembled, and his cold white skin was stained with a slightly hot red. The next second, I was so bold that I sat on him. He Yanju, do you want to try with me? I was too close, and my lips brushed his urlobe lightly. It's so soft. I simply kissed him. His urlobe was slightly hot, and his voice sounded above my head, a little hoarse. Shenqiu, you wake up. I smiled. I'm sober. I know that you men like young and beautiful women, and you can get rid of women with a word board. The dryness in my body rose, and I subconsciously wanted to lean towards a cool place. His brows were slightly frowned, and his eyes were dark. I raised my head again to kiss him, and this time he didn't hide. His lips were icy and cool, and smelled of a refreshing mint which was very pleasant. I was almost suffocated by the kiss, but he held the back of my head with one hand and pinched my waist with the other, forcing me to continue. The baffle in the car rose at the right time, completely isolating me into an enclosed space. He finally let me go, his voice even hoarser than before. Shenqiu, I don't like men, and I don't like young people. His reaction arc was so long. Why did he say this after kissing me? Alcohol didn't make me black out, but my mind was indeed a little confused. Before I could figure it out, Yanju had already started the car. It didn't take long to reach the destination. Yanju picked me up from the back seat and carried me sideways. He carried me through the living room of the villa, walked upstairs quickly, entered the bedroom, and carefully put me on the bed, standing by the bed looking down at me. My eyes were fixed on his lips without blinking. The lips that had just been kissed were moist, with water vapor, a little swollen and red. Looking downward, he unbuttoned the collar of his shirt, exposing his two collarbones to the air. He was like a seductive male demon. He curved his lips, held my hand, and put it under the hem of his shirt. Shenqiu, do you want it? Yes, I do. After getting a satisfactory answer, Yanju leaned down and kissed my lips. Unlike the previous two times, this time he kissed deeply and heavily, as if to vent his strong possessiveness. The hot kiss went all the way down. Shenqiu, do you like it? My face was almost cooked, so I could only cling to Yanju tightly. At first, I bit my lips hard and didn't answer, but in the end, I succumbed to Yanju's offensive. I buried my face in his neck and sobbed. I like it. He kissed me with satisfaction, and finally I fell asleep in his arms. When I woke up the next day, he was gone. I understand what this means. He should be a person who is afraid of trouble. It just so happens that I'm also afraid of trouble. Since he left, I naturally had to pretend that nothing had happened, which would be good for both of us. So I slipped away, and by the way, I also blocked all his contact information and cut off all contact with him to avoid embarrassment. As for business dealings, I will let the people below to connect with him in the future and just handle official business. Since then, Yanju and I have not seen each other again. It was not until my menstruation was delayed a few days ago that I realized that I seemed to have not taken birth control pills after that incident. I secretly bought a pregnancy test stick, and the result was that I tested it 5 times in a row, and each time it was 2 lines. I was full of questions after the last miscarriage. The doctor said that it would be more difficult for me to get pregnant in the future. What about this difficulty? How did Yanju get it right at once? I was confused. It stands to reason that Yanju has the right to know, but thinking of his attitude that day, I am not sure. Just in case I didn't say anything, just prepared to separate from Kiyu as soon as possible, and then arrange the future of me and the child. Unfortunately, before I could make arrangements, Yanju came. Shenqiu, why did you block me? His lips were close to my ears, his voice was cold, but the warm breath overflowed from his lips and teeth. You didn't regret it after sleeping with me, did you? His attitude made me a little dumbfounded. I didn't expect that he would care so much about me blocking him. In order to avoid more and more misunderstandings, I decided to make it clear, Yanju, we are all adults. I started that night, so I tacitly accepted the principle of taking responsibility for the consequences. You can find out, and the hospital should also know that I will definitely keep the child. I have money and I can solve the problem of raising the child by myself, and it won't cause you any trouble. If you are really worried, we can sign a confidentiality agreement. Hyunju, who was kissing Meyer Lobi, suddenly froze and his voice was lowered. You do it yourself? What if the child asks about his father? What if he wants to see his father's photo? I have thought about this carefully. I will tell the child that his father is dead, and the photo can be synthesized by AI. As for the cause of death, let's say it was a car accident. If you are not satisfied, you can also make up a more decent way to die for yourself. Of course, it doesn't matter if you want to see the baby in the future. Just let him call you uncle. He Yanju frowned at first, but he was so angry that he laughed at the end. Call me uncle, Shenku? What do you think of me? I choked, not sure what he meant. How come I even thought of a way out for him, and he is still not satisfied? He Yanju, I'm just embarrassed to trouble you too much. After all, you left very decisively that day. As I said this, I observed He Yanju's expression and thought about other possibilities. Could it be that he just knew that I was pregnant and changed his mind and wanted to snatch the custody of the baby from me? No, He Yanju took several deep breaths before he said helplessly, I don't think you are a trouble. I was slightly stunned, and another absurd guess vaguely came to my mind. He Yanju looked at me with deep eyes and explained seriously. There was a problem with the project of my French branch that day, and I had to rush to deal with it in person. I left you a note and asked you to wait for me to come back, so you didn't see anything at all? A note? I indeed didn't see it. In this technologically advanced stage, why would he write a note? Besides, I was too embarrassed to even think about running away. How could I have the mind to check if there was a note on the bedside? Hiyanju continued to complain. When I wanted to contact you again, I found that you had blocked all my contact information. Shen Qiyu, am I someone shameful in your eyes? I smiled awkwardly. This is a bit heavy, but it's impossible for us to get married just because we slept together and woke up, right? He lowered his eyes and asked back, how is it impossible? I suddenly widened my eyes and said in disbelief, are you serious? Hianju, do you like children so much? Hianju's eyes were big. He looked at me for a long time, his eyes slightly caressed, and his voice sounded deep. Just think of it as me liking children. Of course, I did not agree to Hianju's request. This is too much. Caillou and I went from being in love with each other to being fed up with each other. We had been entangled for so many years, but the ending was not happy. I don't want to jump into another siege casually. Hianju did not force me. He just stared at me, undated his contact information back. He also said that when I go for the prenatal checkup again, I must notify him. I don't know if it was an illusion, but there seemed to be a feeling of gnashing teeth in his smile. Didn't you say that I like children? How could someone who likes children let you go for a prenatal checkup alone? Okay, I respect his rights as the biological father, not to mention that he is the cash cow of my business, so I have to give him some faith. Since then, Yanju has begun to care about my food, clothing, and diet, and will buy baby supplies. When he was on a business trip to Europe, he even personally pushed back a crib that was handmade by a master, and the crib was filled with all kinds of diapers, milk powder, and baby cream. He seemed to be really looking forward to the arrival of the baby. Slowly, as time went by, I got used to it. Until the auction half a month later, when Yanju and I entered the venue together, we met Koyu. Ruin was holding Kiyu's hand, and her eyes could not hide the pride. After not seeing each other for a long time, Kiyu was stunned for a moment when she saw me standing next to Yenju. She opened her mouth as if she wanted to say something to me, but Ruin did not give him the opportunity. Honey, I'm a little tired. Sit over there with me. Before leaving, he turned around and gave me a mocking smile. I ignored him. After all, I was pregnant and had to stay away from these disgusting sources as much as possible. The exhibits at this auction were relatively ordinary, and I was not interested until I saw a necklace. The collection was very beautiful, and it was one that I liked many years ago but had not been able to buy. The starting price was 800,000, and I was the first to raise the card. By ruin, ruin was not to be outdone and followed me to add 1 million won, 5 million. In the end, it was Kiyu who raised the card, 3 million. She knew that I had wanted this necklace for a long time, but she still wanted to snatch it from me and deliberately gave it to By ruin, ruin. I glanced in their direction and happened to run into By ruin, ruin's smug expression. 3 million for the first time, 3 million for the second time. I didn't raise the card again. He Yanju squeezed my hand and wanted to raise the price. Before I finished speaking, I quickly held him down. 5 what 5? Are you crazy? His expression was a bit innocent. 5 million is not expensive. Don't you like it very much? I sneered. Why is it not expensive? You just haven't been poor. Only those who have really been poor know that 5 million is really expensive. When people are in desperate situation, let alone 5 million, they may fight for 500 yuan. But this truth, He Yanzhu, who is out of touch with the world, may find it difficult to empathize. I shook my head. Don't argue. I don't like things that lose money. The 3 million that Kiyu offered is far more than the value of the necklace itself. If he wants to be a sucker, let him be. Anyway, Kwaye signed a property division agreement, and now the money he spends is his part. Although 3 million is nothing, but a little bit adds up. I hope he will become purer and poorer. 3 million for the third time deal. The hammer fell after the auction, which meant that the dust had settled. After the auction, the crowd filed out, and By ruin deliberately walked to my side and showed off as soon as she opened her mouth. Sister QIU, are you angry? It's all AU's fault. She just doesn't care when she sees that I like it. I'll lend it to you to have a look. Caillou, who was following him, watched this scene in silence. He really doted on By ruin, letting him dance in front of me again and again. I curled my lips lightly. No, I don't like you that much. If you like it, take it. After all, what's good about the things you like? I glanced at Kiyu beside him meaningfully, and Kiyu's face visibly darkened several degrees, and said angrily, Shen Q, how did you become like this? It's just a necklace. Is it necessary to be so sarcastic? At most, I can compensate you with one later. I raised my eyes and was startled, then looked at him steadily. No, like you said. It's just a necklace. Kiyu choked for a moment, and then he seemed to finally remember something. I am a jewelry designer. When he founded his company, he got his first pot of gold from me selling my design copyrights to get him 1 million. At that time, he hugged me with red eyes and said that he would buy me a lot of jewelry in the future. Unfortunately, in the end, he only gave me an ordinary ring. I was his girlfriend for 4 years and he for 3 years. He used a small diamond to cheat me of my most precious 7 years. A promise is only sincere when it is spoken, and sincerity is not real. The heart is something that changes rapidly. In the end, love is a long and arduous journey, and it all depends on conscience. Now he has his company, and I have my own career. My jewelry design brand has long been world famous. I can buy whatever I like myself, and I don't need him anymore. Kiyu probably thought of the past and was a little absent-minded. When he looked at me, his eyes revealed a bit of guilt and nostalgia. At this time, he yen-juiced, all body suddenly inserted in, completely blocking Kiyu's eyes from looking at me. His voice was lazy, but full of sarcasm, Mr. Qi, I haven't seen you for a few years. Have you changed to drinking green tea? When talking about green tea, he Yanju glanced at Bai Ruin lightly. By Ruin tried hard not to explode, but the expression on her face was almost a foreign. I was too lazy to watch it anymore, so I took Yanju away. My action of calling his name in public seemed to please Yanju, and he curled the corners of his mouth and smiled. Yeah? I thought everything was over and I should be able to have some peace and quiet, but Kiyu suddenly changed her mind. I have the habit of muting my phone when I go to bed. When I woke up that day, the screen showed more than 30 missed calls and 99 WeChat messages, all from Kiyu. Shemq, IUU, let's talk. I came to find you, but no one is home. What disease did you go to obstetrics and gynecology department of the hospital for last time? Are you pregnant? If you are pregnant, I can promise not to separate. If you don't reply, I will wait for you at the door. Shen Qiu, why were you not at home all night? Why did you even fire the servants? Because I moved out a long time ago. There weren't races of him living in that house, and I was unhappy living there, so I simply sold the house. After He Yanju learned about it as the child's father, he provided an island villa as a favor and also hired a private doctor and caregiver. The island has a beautiful environment and a pleasant climate, which is especially suitable for pregnancy. I didn't refuse. Anyone who refuses this kind of thing is a fool. Since He Yanju wants to enjoy the rights of being a father, he naturally has to be willing to bleed a little. This is called equal exchange. This tacit understanding has gradually developed between He Yanju and me. As for Qiyu, according to the agreement, he still has a lot of property that has not been transferred to me. How can he regret it at this time? I immediately returned the call. Qiyu's voice came from the receiver with a hint of hoarseness and her fatigue. Koyu, I asked the previous servants, and they said they noticed that you were taking pregnancy-preserving drugs. If it's true, then we cannot separate for now. I suddenly lost my patience. When people are unlucky, even taking medicine can be secretly spotted by servants unreported. But I understand that truth will come out sooner or later, and I have prepared myself mentally. Before Kiyu finished speaking, I interrupted him lightly. I am pregnant, but Kiyu, who said the child is yours. There was silence on the other side of the phone for a long time, and I could almost hear Kiyu's rapid breathing. After a while, he asked coldly, Shen Qiu, what do you mean? When Kiyu finally found me, I was playing with Ed Yoke. Ed Yoke is a little yellow dog adopted for me by He Yanju because he was afraid that I would be bored. It is gentle and affectionate and likes to lie at my feet to bask in the sun the most. Kiyu was stunned when he saw me. Are you really here? If I remember correctly, the real estate here should all be under the name of the He family. He stared at my belly as if he wanted to stare a hole in me. When exactly did you? I tilted my head and smiled and told him, remember my birthday? The night you left halfway and used to groan to confess to my ruin. Kiyu widened his eyes and looked at me in disbelief and finally said in a trembling voice, Shanko, we haven't separated yet, and you have already cuckolded me. In his eyes, it seemed that I was the betrayer who made a mistake and should be blamed. I couldn't help but laugh sarcastically and asked him back. Then over the years, when you have changed lovers around you one after another, when you rolled with by ruin and made her pregnant, did you think of me? He knew that he was in the wrong and couldn't argue. He stood there for a long time before he reluctantly said, Qiu, you abort the child, and we won't make trouble. I will go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with you to get the certificate, and we will live a good life after we get married, okay? I was so angry that I laughed, staring at his eyes without blinking. Abort? Do you think it's possible? I have had a miscarriage, and the doctor said it would be difficult for me to have children in the future. Have you forgotten why I had a miscarriage in the first place? What qualifications do you have to decide whether my child stays or goes? His body swayed with a flash of pain in his eyes. Okay, then you give birth to the baby, and when you are better, we will have another child of our own, okay? I felt like I had heard a huge joke and couldn't help looking at him as if he was a lunatic. Do you want to listen to what you are saying? His eyes were red, and he made the final concession. QIU, for you, I can acknowledge this child. At this moment, a low sneer came from not far away. It was He Yanju. He loosened the top button of his shirt, and as soon as he opened his mouth, he started with a lazy sneer. You want my child to call you dad. Qi, are you worthy? For a moment, the atmosphere was tense. The moment Qiyu saw He Yanchu, he was like someone had touched his reverse scale and rushed up like crazy. Unfortunately, he failed to fight with He Yanju as he wished and was stopped by the bodyguards in the villa. He probably forgot whose home this was. Qiyu's eyes were bloodshot, and he tried to break free from the bodyguards and have a big fight with He Yanju, but the reality was very skinny. The bodyguard threw him away, and he fell to the ground in a mess. And He Yanju just sat on the sofa with his legs crossed, looking at him expressionlessly, his face as cold as frost and snow. Do you want to get out by yourself, or do you want me to have someone throw you out? I was a little surprised. Although He Yanju was of noble status, his cultivation was always praised. Even when facing business rivals, he had never humiliated anyone. It was the first time I saw him so angry, and Koyu came alone. Even if he was unwilling, it was useless. He looked dejected, staggered to his feet, and handed a box to me. I didn't open the blue velvet box. I roughly guessed what was in it. It was the necklace that Ruin had snatched away and that I had been thinking about for a long time. She lowered her head and told me, QIU, on the day of the auction, I didn't really want to snatch away what you liked. I just wanted to make you jealous and submit to me. I'll get the necklace back for you, and I'll let Ruin get the child aborted. Don't you like this necklace very much? Let's get back together, okay? Yes, I used to like him so much. He knew it, but he still helped Ruin to use him to slap me in the face. He also knew that every time I cried and made a fuss with him, I was heartbroken, but he still hurt me again and again. I said lightly, I don't like you anymore, neither the necklace nor you. QIU, stop being stubborn, okay? Are you really willing to break up with me? I just thought it was ridiculous. He was obviously the one who hurt me the most at the beginning, so why is he acting like he is the victim now? I looked at his slightly red eyes, pulled the corner of his clothes out of his hand, and said seriously, Kiyu, you destroyed everything with your own hand. If you want to break up thoroughly, and don't let me look down on you again. 3 days later, Kiyu and I completed the final property transfer at the notary office. He looked extremely haggard with a dark blue spot under his eyes. Obviously, he didn't sleep well. But whether he is doing well or not now, it has nothing to do with me. At the moment of parting ways, Kiyu seemed to have something to say to me, but before he could say it, Ruin suddenly appeared. His face was completely devoid of the gentleness he usually pretended to have, and was replaced by anger and unwillingness. Kayu, he already has someone else's child. Why do you still give him so much? I thought you were just giving him a breakup fee, but why did you even transfer the 80 million villa to him? Have you ever thought about me and the child in your belly? I frowned slightly. Ruin may not know that what Kiyu gave me is not just a simple breakup. Every business he has done in the past and every money he has made has my shares in it. Without me at the beginning, how could he be where he is today? I just got the part I deserved as I wished. Moreover, Ruin was too impatient. Kiyu's love was turbulent but short-lived. It was not a good thing for her gentle and delicate personality to collapse too quickly. Shen Kuai, don't try to take advantage. Ruin accused me madly unrushed up regardless of anything. Enough! Kiyu shouted angrily and stopped him. Are you done? Don't embarrass yourself here. Ruin was yelled at and his body froze. His eyes were red in an instant. He smashed the donkey brand bag in his hand hard on Kiyu. Embarrassing? How can you yell at me? You broke up with him. Do you still want to protect him? More and more passers-by gathered around, and Chiyu's expression became more and more annoyed. Finally, he exploded. Even if I don't marry Shenqiu, I won't marry you. Ruin was directly yelled at. He realized something in the next second. He chased after her with a panicked expression and tried to hold Kiyu's hand, but Kiyu was indifferent and threw him aside. Stay away from me. The accident happened at this moment. Ruin loved dressing up, and she didn't shy away from it even after she got pregnant. She still wore exquisite sheepskin high heels as usual. She liked to use those to show Kiyu's love for her. As a result, Kiyu's swing made him miss his step, rolled several times, and fell down the stairs. He fell to the ground, his face pale, holding his stomach, and asked for help in pain. My baby, Kiyu, my stomach hurts so much. Kiyu was also panicked when she saw this, and her face was very ugly. About 4 or 5 seconds later, bright red blood was left between Ruin's legs. My heart trembled when I saw it. The child that Kiyu and I had before was gone just like this. Is it God's will? People who are promiscuous and unfaithful are destined to have a shallow heart. Or maybe the baby can also feel that he is not loved by his father in his mother's body, so he left sadly. Even if the world is good, he doesn't want to come again. After Ruin's disturbance, the story between me and He Yanju finally reached the ears of the He family. The next day, He Yanju's grandfather ordered He Yanju to return to the old house and specifically asked me to meet him. When I was in the car, my heart was inevitably beating fast. He Yanju comforted me that his grandfather was easy to talk to, and I believed him. As a result, the old man's brows have never relaxed since he entered the door. Although the old man is 80 years old and needs to walk with crutches, he has a majestic face and a natural aura of a superior. He squinted his eyes and said in an irresistible tone, "Kneel down." The majestic voice resounded throughout the hall. He Yanju took off his suit jacket without saying a word and knelt straight down. Even I was shocked when I followed behind him. Do I have to kneel too? I was full of question marks. As a result, when the grandfather of the He family saw me, his attitude changed 180 degrees in an instant. He walked towards me with a kind and gentle smile. "Girl, don't be nervous. Sit down quickly. Grandpa is not a bad person. Grandpa just wants to help you teach this stinky grandson who bullied you a lesson. Just sit on the sofa and watch." I was supported by the housekeeper of the He family and sat down with a confused look on my face. The moment He Yanju met my eyes, he slightly bent the corners of his mouth and signaled me not to be surprised. It seems that he is used to kneeling, so he should be able to handle it, right? In the end, I still overestimated him because the next second he said, "Grandpa Shanpuayu is sitting, so I shouldn't kneel too." It would have been better if he hadn't said anything. As soon as he opened his mouth, Grandpa He exploded. The next second, he picked up the walking stick and hit him on the back without mercy. "You bastard, you still have the nerve to talk nonsense? Have you forgotten the family motto? I introduced so many people to you before, but you refused to meet them. What's the result? You turned around and slept with a good girl. It's a misfortune for the family." While scolding, the old man hit me harder. I was shocked by this scene. What era is this? And there are still people using family rules. He Yanju is a man who can call the wind and rain outside, but when he returns home, he has to kneel down and take a beating. I tried to plead. "Grandpa He, actually, this is not He Yanju's fault. I was drunk that time and attacked him first." But before I could finish my sentence, Grandpa He interrupted me. "Don't plead for him. You were drunk, and what about him? If he didn't have any bad intentions, could you have accomplished this? It's obvious that this little bastard took advantage of you. I'll teach him a lesson." Grandpa He was serious when he beat people. After more than 10 blows, He Yanju's white shirt was faintly bleeding. I quickly stopped the old man's walking stick. "No more hitting." Grandpa He refused and wanted to take the walking stick back. During the scuffle, He Yanju, who had been kneeling obediently, suddenly stood up and protected me behind him. "Grandpa, you can hit me, but don't push Shen Huiyu. She is pregnant." After he finished speaking, Grandpa He's hand suddenly stopped in my dress. After a few seconds of confusion, his eyes suddenly lit up. "Child, are you saying I'm going to have a little great-grandson?" He Yanju was stunned. "You called me back to get beaten, but you don't know she's pregnant?" Grandpa, he shook his head in confusion. It turned out that he had only heard about it in general and didn't know that I was already pregnant with He Yanju's child. I came to the He family this time, and I was fully prepared to discuss the custody of the child. But after listening to the story, the old man asked me directly, "When will you hold the wedding with He Yanju?" I said, "Grandpa, are you changing too quickly?" I had to explain, "Sorry, Grandpa He, I don't plan to get married for the time being." Grandpa He was silent when he heard it, and then stared at He Yanju with a look of disappointment. "Little bastard, what do you do? How come you haven't even caught up with your wife?" He didn't avoid me at all when he said this. I turned my head away in embarrassment, but I heard He Yanju's smiling voice in my ear. "Well, I'm too stupid. I'm already chasing her and will work harder." That night, Grandpa He arranged for us to stay in the old house. He also deliberately said that there were not enough rooms to sleep and matched me and He Yanju in a bedroom. The old man's thoughts were written on his face. The bedroom is decorated in a simple black and white style, and it is obviously He Yanju's exclusive room. He Yanju took off his bloodstained shirt and asked me to help him apply medicine. His skin was very white, and the bruises and wounds were particularly glaring. I took the ointment and wiped it carefully. My fingertips touched his beaten skin and felt that his body temperature was a little hot. He Yanju suddenly spoke in a hoarse voice. "Grandpa always hopes that I can get married. He is a little over-enthusiastic. Don't be surprised." I said, "Humps, softly to show my understanding. Old people always hope to have many children and grandchildren. After applying the ointment, I breathed a sigh of relief and looked around the room casually. Suddenly, a pair of cufflinks on the cabinet caught my attention. Why do they look so familiar? I walked over and took it in my hand, shocked beyond words. He Yanju, how did you get this pair of cufflinks? He Yanju's eyes swept over the cufflinks and then fixed on my face. He was silent for a few seconds before lowering his eyelashes slightly. You gave it to me. I looked at him in disbelief. How could it be? I sold these cufflinks 8 years ago. He Yanju pinched the cufflinks, took a deep breath, and seemed to have made some mental preparations before he began to explain. 8 years ago, a girl who had a stall in front of the university sold this pair of cufflinks to me. This cufflink has a total of 6 blue and white diamonds with exquisite details, no worse than luxury brands, but she only sold it to me for 800 yuan. She said it was designed by herself, not a big brand, and not valuable. She sold it to raise money to buy her boyfriend a new phone. Halfway through speaking, Yi Yanju raised his eyes and smiled self-deprecating lie. At that time, I thought she was pretty, but a little silly. During that time, I often passed by that street and could always see her selling things at the stall. If she didn't have a boyfriend, I would definitely pursue her. Later, she graduated and I went abroad. I thought we would never meet again, but a few years later, her works appeared at the global jewelry auction. Later, she found me with her own jewelry brand. I watched her walk towards me step by step, and the feeling of being moved was rekindled. My upbringing in the past few years has been reminding me that she has someone in her heart, and I must never disturb her. Until that night, she suddenly stumbled and fell into my arms. The night fell, the light in the room was slightly yellow, and the night breeze blew through the window screens of the old house, bringing a gentle coolness. Yanju's tone became softer and softer. You took the initiative to kiss me that night, Shen Qi Yu. How could I let go again? I listened to all this in a daze, and Yanju had already held my face and kissed me heavily. Later, I gave birth to a pink and lovely daughter. Yanju has always been by my side, but I've been reluctant to accept his proposal. There is no special reason, but because I don't want to be trapped in a relationship again. Only when you have really been in a cage, you will know the value of freedom. What's more, love and marriage have never been the same thing. I dare not easily enter the game again. My daughter has my last name and was named Shai. I accompanied Shenzai during the campus and unknowingly another 7 years. When people talk about He Yanju, they all say that he has changed from a young handsome gay boss to the current golden bachelor. He Yanju always clarified again and again, I am not gay nor single. I have a girlfriend and I have a daughter. My daughter is so beautiful, Mr. He is in good health, but he often says to him, yes, you have a girlfriend and a daughter, but you don't have a wife, and your daughter calls you uncle. He Yanju Shemsha Hai knew that He Yanju was his father since he was a child. But he was too clingy to me, and every time He Yanju came over, he would sleep with me, clingier than a child, so Shen Chi could only be coaxed away by his grandmother. So Shen Chi deliberately called him Uncle He. Uncle He was wronged by his daughter, and he came to me pitifully at night. He hugged me and kissed me again and again. His tone was full of resentment. Shen Qiu, you have no conscience. When will you give me a name? I was pinched by his waist, and I poked his abdominal muscles lazily. It depends on your performance tonight and my mood tomorrow. He Yanjum uttered that I would only write him a bad check, and the next second he buried his head and kissed me more fiercely unhard. Later I heard from a friend that Kiyu was dead. After my Ruan kept the child, he kept pestering Kiyu and refused to let go. He threatened Kiyu to marry her and take care of her for the rest of her life. Kiyu had long been fed up with it, so he naturally refused to compromise and even wanted to fire her from the company. By Ruan was desperate and took advantage of her position to leak company secrets to the rival company and secretly found out many accounting problems of the company. She was overwhelmed by her. First, he lost several big business orders, and then he couldn't hold on. The capital chain broke, and the company went bankrupt. He hated by Ruan so much that they had a fierce argument. In anger, he accidentally pushed her down the stairs. Perhaps because he felt that the future was bleak and his heart was dead, Kiyu also jumped down. After listening to it, I just casually echoed, "Is that so?" There was no more ripples in my heart. After so many years, hearing the name Kiyu again, it actually seemed like a thing of the last life. My friend was still sighing. "You said that when you were in school, you'd were so good. I still remember that Kiyu brought you food and tutoring every day, and he couldn't leave you for a day. At that time, the whole girls' dormitory knew how much he loved you. How could such a good person rot quietly later?" I listened quietly, as if listening to a stranger. Mom, come and play. Not far away, my daughter waved at me. He Anju was playing frisbee with his daughter and dog. I hung up the phone in a hurry, took the frisbee from my daughter's hand, and threw it far away. The dog was running freely, my daughter was laughing happily, and he Yanshu looked towards me. In that glance, his features were gentle, and the years were easeful and quiet.